You are listening to All Burgundy and Gold, everything powered by the urban sports scene in Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia. I'm your host, Ray, along with my sidekicks who don't get predictions right, Wole, Glen, and Mo. I'm just kidding. I'm the only one who picked the Jaguars last week. I had to poke fun of y'all. We also joined by my man, Prince Grimes Sr., who's a writer for Bet the Win, which is part of USA Today. What's up, Prince, and welcome to All Burgundy and Gold Everything.
What's up, Ray? What's up, fellas? I appreciate y'all having me.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
On, man.
So, brother, this is your first time joining us. Can you tell us a bit about Bet for the Win?
Yeah, like you said, I'm a senior writer over at Bet for the Win. It's basically a website under the umbrella of USA Today Sports. It's a spinoff from the website people may have heard of, For the Win. So I'm really part of the For the Win staff, but I focus specifically on betting content for their Bet for the Win platform, which launched about a year ago. And so, yeah, we just try to get people, all of the content they want around gambling content, sports betting. That's it's a booming industry right now. It's blowing up. Everyone's trying to get a piece of it. So, it's new to me. Like I said, the site just launched a year ago, so I'm still learning about it as I go. And I'm just excited to talk about that type of stuff.
All right, man. Well, Mo, you can't give fantasy advice for my man because you talking about money on the line. You drafted Kyle Pitts. That was a mistake. Anyway,
subscribe to a lot of fantasy talk too. Yeah.
I'm sure. Hey, check them out, fam. If you listening.
Oh, yeah. Saquon Barkley gave him the money. Appreciate you, Saquon. Gave him the money, baby.
My dude.
Wole's real retro. He probably still trying to draft
Julio Jones this time.
Phillip Rivers.
That's my guy. You already know. That's always going to be my guy.
Anyway, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Gold Everything. That's with 3 R's. Also, tweet us at ABG_everything and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. Of course, like our All Burgundy and Gold Everything Facebook page.
And while y'all at it, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Gold Everything YouTube channel as well.
It's time for the pregame. Here's what we have on tap. We'll preview the Washington Commanders' upcoming game against the Detroit Lions and get odds on the game. Mo Jeezy. It's on you, man.
I was worried about the content. I was worried about the Lions, man. Here we go, man. Washington's going to take on a tough Lions team this Sunday, man. Prince, what are your early odds on the game?
Yeah, so I don't know what that line is at right now, but I believe the Lions are favored. And it's going to be...
I got the line right here.
Yeah.
I got the line right here.
Are they two? They plus two?
They minus 2.5.
Oh, they're minus.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's actually the first time in a few years the Lions have been favored in the game. I mean, so that's a sad state for the Commanders, but they'll have a shot.
So what goes in play with that? Like, is it like in terms of them being up in this game? Like, what's in play because of how they compete against the Eagles, being at home? Like, what's for somebody who doesn't know? Like, how is that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is they're the home team, and it just goes to show the confidence that the bookmakers have in Washington right now, which is low. Jacksonville was an underdog in that game, but it was a close spread. I want to say it was around 2 points as well, and that was a home game for Washington against the Jaguars. So you're going on the road to play a tough Detroit team that just gave Philly, a little run there at the end of that game, And listen, Detroit, they're actually, I think they won 3 games last season. But if you look at their record against the spread, they were 11-6. So they play teams tough. The Lions are no joke. You go in there and you sleep on them and they'll beat you. So I think the bookmakers are looking at that and they're giving them a shot.
I wonder if Hard Knocks factors into that.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like Hard Knocks is playing in.
Wole got HBO now. He's
not
throwing off Hard Knocks.
If you look at it, it's not only Hard Knocks that plays a factor in it too, but it's also that they have a young, energetic coach with a young team. And if you look at the coach, he's energetic, has a young team. They drafted well, and they say have some hungry dogs. If you draft a long time in the top 5, right? If you draft it every year in the first round, between 1 through 5, you got first round draft picks on your team, and sooner or later those draft picks are going to revolve themselves, but and become stars. So I think that's where Detroit is at now: a young coach, energetic coach, and a whole bunch of first round draft picks.
Yeah, and Hard Knocks though. And Hard Knocks is lit. You know what I'm saying? It's litty. It's litty out there, man. It's litty.
I don't
Look,
think
man.
that's crazy to say. Like Hard Knocks gives you a look at, in-depth look at, just the personalities on the team. They can see how hard Dan Campbell coaches the team, whether players are receptive. That it can't hurt.
I know. Look, man, I used to gamble a lot. If I watched Hard Knocks and wanted to gamble on this game, I would be like, yeah, darn right, I pick Detroit.
Nah, see, I think about boxing. You watch 24/7. You don't gamble off that. You know who the better team is.
Yeah, boxing different. Boxing different though. But I ain't gonna lie. But like Hard Knocks with Detroit, they look tough. They just look tough.
I mean, but looking at the game on Sunday though, like I think we saw the enigma that Carson Wentz is, right? Like I think the turnovers all within that fourth quarter. Like I tell people all the time that are excited about this win, I said, let's not forget that Jacksonville averages a top 5 pick in the draft for the last 10 years, like average. And they took them down to the wire. If it's not for Sunshine throwing that, whatever that was at the end of that game, I don't understand what that throw was. Like, that game shouldn't have been that close coming into that game, right? And how that played out. I can see why Detroit is favored in this game because of the way they played the Eagles and what the reputation that the Eagles have this year based off what they did this offseason also, right? Yeah. And playing them tough. And seeing that the emergence of a DeAndre Swift, right? If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be a force multiplier and a factor in the run game, which we've seen the Commanders struggled with against James Robinson coming off an Achilles, which surprised the hell out of me that he even played. Like, I don't know what's happening in medicine nowadays, but Jesus Christ, an Achilles injury and you back under 9 months, and he was slicing and dicing the defense for a little while there. You know what I mean? Not to mention some of the things that ETN was doing. So I think
ETN a beast. ETN a beast. Huh? ETN's a beast.
Yeah, I mean
ETN's a beast.
But we all like him from school, right?
Yeah, he a beast. Like that's a fact.
I think what Carson Wentz showed us on Sunday, the odds makers are saying that he can't repeat that. If he plays like that again, they're not going to pull the game out, and that's why I think Detroit is favored to win by at least a field goal.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised they're favored. I'm really surprised because even though they were winning against the spread last season, they weren't winning. They weren't winning outright. They weren't winning games. And Jared Goff is still Jared. Like, he's not a guy who you think of going out there and taking games. Like Carson Wentz, for all of his faults, he can go out there and win you a few games too. He'll lose you a couple games and he'll win some as well. So I still look at Washington as having a really good shot to go in Detroit and win that game, as long as Carson Wentz isn't out there just slinging it to the other team.
If you're Washington, what should concern them the most about the Lions?
DeAndre Swift. And also,
facts.
And also that pass rush, Aiden Hutchinson is a top pick. If they get that pressure on Wentz, then you can start to see some of those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Swift is a problem. I think you got Chark. I think Chark from who used to play for Jacksonville, I think he's a problem too. Mm-hmm. Especially when you got issues.
Brown.
Yeah, not a lot of people like Brown. Yep. Yeah, but especially when you saw what the issues the cornerbacks had against the Jacksonville Jaguars wide receivers, especially Christian Kirk. So like you look at this situation where I think the Detroit Lions have weapons. I think we all just mentioned about like obviously the draft picks they've had, but they have weapons. Jared Goff was the first pick overall at a point in time, and he did go to a Super Bowl, so he is adequate. Like he can do things, you know what I mean? So, and if you had to say at this particular point in time, is Jared Goff better than Trevor Lawrence? I like Trevor Lawrence, but is he better than him right now? Yes, he is at this particular point in time. So, I just think that going into this game, like this Detroit Lions team does have a lot of players to be concerned about. You named the running backs. It's not just Swift. You got the kid from North Carolina and Williams. You got so many weapons on the offensive side of football that they can do some things. Yeah, T.J. Hawkins is an awesome tight. Is a good tight end. A young up and coming tight end. You know what I mean? So I just think that they have weapons. Washington just has to play better. They have to play better defense. Offensively, going into this game, I think offense they should feel comfortable to do some things. But it's all about play calling, right? It's all about play calling for Washington's offense. So.
Yeah, I don't think Washington has too much concern here. I'm gonna tell you why I don't think they have too much concern here. The Detroit defense gave up 38 points to the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They gave over 200 some yards rushing to the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They still playing with Jeff Okudah. I'm sorry, right? And with the Washington receivers that's there, he can't guard none of those guys. and you know he's an Ohio State guy, so I know you've seen him play.
I hate him, man. I
know
hate
you
Ohio
hate
State.
him,
He's
but
overrated. He was overrated. It's okay though. Go ahead, continue.
I know what I'm saying. You've seen him, and he's overrated in the league. He has not panned out.
Yeah,
he has not been good. So I think Washington, with the way that, if you look at Scott Turner last week, offense, heavy passing down, we have receivers. They have receivers that can break down the field, and if he's able to run the football, if he wants to run the football, again, I just look at the score they gave up to the Philadelphia Eagles, who has a running game. But if Washington could, Detroit gave over 400 yards of offense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know you come from, but on the flip side, playing devil's advocate, you could say that the Detroit offense can score on Washington's defense. Like on the flip side, you can say that. Like you can say that. Like I get you. Like we could say that, but like Jacksonville did pretty much whatever they really wanted to at the second half. When they made the adjustments, right? When they made the adjustments. So that's my thing. Is like which team will you get? Will you get that team that played fairly well in the first half, or that defense you saw in the second half? Because like most mentioned, Robinson ran pretty easy, and ATN got what they wanted in the run game. They gotta go against Swift and Williams. So like it's not gonna be an easy game. Just like we talked about Jacksonville, it's not gonna be an easy game. If it's an easy game, I'm gonna give credit to the whole team. Like from what I saw in week 1, like I'm gonna give them credit. If it's an easy game, I'm gonna give credit to the team. Like I'm gonna give credit to that coaching staff.
Adjustments have been made, right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give them credit. Like I'm gonna give them credit. But if we're going off of just what we saw against Jacksonville and then carrying it over to Detroit, I'm just saying you're right, Glenn. In terms of the Lions defense, I think Washington could do some things. But if I'm the Lions, I'm saying the same thing about Washington's defense. I'm like, oh, they gave up that many rushing yards against who? We got a two-headed monster here. You know what I mean? We got one of the more respectable Swiss Army knife 1,000-yard type of runner in Swift. So they can feel like, they can feel comfortable going into the game. You know what I mean? So, hey, Prince, I want to get your opinion. What do you think about like the matchup?
I think Jalen Hurts opens up so much for Philadelphia's offense. And so, yes, they did run all over Detroit, but Jalen had 90 of those rushing yards.
Yeah.
Miles Sanders probably averaged close to 6 yards per carry, but he's only doing that because Jalen Hurts is there and he's a threat on the option, and so Washington is not going to have that same dynamic. Gibson is obviously the workhorse right now, and he may have a good game. I don't know if it's going to be to the effect that Philadelphia was able to do it, and so then that puts a lot more on Carson Wentz. And I think Terry McLaurin could probably have a big game here. I mean, AJ Brown went off on Detroit, so Terry's going to be huge. But I think Washington has more weapons just as far as receivers than Detroit does. We saw Jahan Dotson have a big game, and Curtis Samuel, finally showed up. So I think Washington has a chance to do more things in the pass game. I don't know that I expect them to run on Detroit the same way Philly did.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I think they have an idea. I think their identity is going to be more finesse team anyway. From what we saw the first game, like you saw, they came out passing. That was what I said anyway. When all those weapons, this is something Scott Turner wants to do. He wants to throw the football. And once you gave him more receivers, that's the thing that is going to happen. Like he's going to want to throw the football, and he's going to want to utilize Curtis Samuel. He's going to want to utilize Jahan Dotson, and then obviously Terry McLaurin. He's going to want to utilize all of that. You know what I mean? So, and especially when you got a young rookie who can run routes like Jahan Dotson. You just watched it on a short sample size. His route running was amazing. So they're going to want to take advantage of that. He's going to want to take advantage of that. So I do agree. I think that in terms of the passing game, they got some things that they could definitely take advantage of. Detroit secondary. They could definitely take advantage of it. I see a high scoring game. But Mo, what you want to say? You want to say something?
I was just saying, like, I think we're harping on the fact that they can punish Detroit offensively. I think Detroit has a young team that flies around though, right? I think they play some, they contest. They have a corner. I forget his name. He's the other kid. He's the Nigerian kid.
You're talking about Ohio State, right?
Not Okuda. The other kid.
Okay.
I think he was number 24. I forgot Okuda. So he was like number 4 or 5 in the league last year in interceptions. And I think he plays really solid football. I just think that he needs a running mate, right? Because of the litany of weapons that Carson Wentz is going to have at his disposal. But if the receivers are going to come out and play like they played this past weekend. They're going to feature Curtis Samuel early to get him all of the touches that he needs to be a good receiver in the game. I think then Detroit they're not going to cover. Right? I don't think Detroit will cover in terms of that. But what we've seen on both fronts, with Detroit supposed to be the underdog versus Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is supposed to be this new all-star team compiled with all this talent, the way that they fought them tough, I think it's going to be a coin flip. I think it's going to be a coin toss, and it's going to come down to a possession, right? And Carson's not going to be able to afford the turnovers late like he did last game and think that Jared Goff is going to follow up with a turnover also, because of the way that DeAndre Swift was running, right? Because of the way DeAndre Swift was running. So that's going to open up a lot more play action. Amon-Ra St. Brown is very well much an asset in the middle of the field. TJ Hawkinson in the middle of the field. And we know that part of the problem last week was they had Jamin Davis covering receivers and tight ends, and he was
receivers and running backs. Not even tight ends, receivers.
Etienne,
not running back.
Yeah. And Evan Ingram is a pseudo receiver, right?
Yeah. But that wasn't the issue. Was Kirk with Jamin Davis? That was the issue.
Why that was the matchup is beyond me. But
that was the issue. Like you had him on Kirk. That was the issue.
They didn't provide him with any help over top. When you're a linebacker, he's supposed to be covered underneath, and you have safety help over top.
I couldn't understand that for the sake of my life, man.
And he couldn't do. And with the last time these teams played, it was settled on a Chase Young penalty. Chase Young penalty.
I need to go mention Chase.
Oh, you know I'm bringing him up, dog. You know I'm bringing him up. Chase Young.
That's Matt Stafford, though, Glen. Come on, bro.
I don't care. Chase Young's penalty put them in that situation. But the Detroit Lions had no timeouts, and the penalty put them a little bit closer. And I also blame Ron Rivera coaching, because the team has no timeouts. You tell your kicker not to kick it to the end zone. He kicks it to about 10-yard line, and you take at least 10 seconds off the clock. And what they win by, they kicked 10 seconds left when they kicked the field goal to beat the Washington at the time, Washington football team.
A win over Jacksonville did not eliminate the PTSD from my man Glen.
I know, he could come get back with Chase. Like that, I knew he said Chase Young. All right, so we are on Facebook. We had some comments about what to be concerned about. Andrew Miles said the run game. Corey Tarr says always concerned any given Sunday. That's a long one. I ain't reading that one. That's too long. Swift. We had one that says Swift. Obviously like Swift. So I mean, there's a Swift by Sean McNeil, and also about the homie Kenny Hart. What's up, Kenny? Said good win, but they need to clean up some things. Yeah, they do need to clean up some things. Definitely. Defensively, they got to clean up a lot of things. But I think we all have the overall consensus that Detroit does have weapons to beat this team. I just want the fan base not to be so just like Jacksonville, as that game went to the wire, down to the wire went down to the wire for real. That the Lions do pose a threat. Like I've all over my social media feeds, just like this comfortability that just because Carson looked good, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and the offense looked good, and they saw all these weapons, that folks are like, oh man, they're playing Detroit. It's not the same Detroit. Ray's gonna laugh at me. You watch Hard Knocks, it's not the same Detroit.
No, listen, I told you a long time ago, I don't do the whole look at the schedule and say, oh, this is an automatic W. It just doesn't work like that, especially for this franchise. So the people out there who talking about, oh, we're gonna get this dub, maybe, but don't just circle as an automatic W. And Prince, you can tell people that don't bet on it, because it's the Washington Commanders. Look, Jacksonville gave them this game this past week. Let's be real about it.
No, don't say gave them, because I won't say that, because they were up 14-3. Curtis Samuels fumbled. It's not gave them. Washington gave it to them. Washington gave them the win for real.
Okay, see, you're speaking from a fan. I'm speaking.
No, I'm speaking being real. No, I was watching. I was being real.
No, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't miss a throw early on, you wouldn't even be up 14-3.
Bruh, all right, so if Curtis Samuels had fumbled that ball, this game's not even close.
You would have been
no,
down.
I mean, at that time, they were still up. If Woodside doesn't drive, if Samuels doesn't fumble the ball,
Trevor Lawrence missed the drive before you missed the throw before you even got on the ball.
Yeah, you're right, but you know why he missed the throw though, right? Because we talked about, because Woodside hit his arm. Like, if people want to knock Trevor Lawrence missing that throw, Sweat hit his arm on that throw, so it knocked him off a little bit. It wasn't
pressure time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not. I'm being real. Washington kept Jackson in the game way too long.
Way too long.
Way too long. That's not even being a fan. I'm being real. I like Trevor Lawrence. You know this. They kept them in way too long. Like if they up 14-3, Curtis Sampson with all the momentum, Curtis Sampson fumbles the football.
The turning point.
The
of
reverse,
game,
Ray, the reverse. The reverse.
Yeah.
Like for real, like come on, like they were playing with their food.
Yeah. The turning point of the game was when I text you guys. It was right after Carson Wentz had to run. Carson Wentz picked up 8. It's 2nd and 2.
That was dumb.
It's 2nd and 2.
And didn't run the ball at all.
He didn't run the ball at all. And then Washington was driving down the field. That was been a drive that would have broke Jacksonville's back. But what happened? They get off the field. When you get a 2nd and 2, you have 3 opportunities to get 2 yards. Right?
Take that.
3 opportunities to get 2 yards. It is 4 down territory where it was at. They did not do it, and they end up having to punt. And that was after that, Jacksonville went down the field.
We could go back and forth on that because even on the play where Terry got the bomb, that was dumb defense on Jacksonville's part. You know what I'm saying?
How?
So because they ran an all-out blitz on what was
no,
it?
they had covered.
No,
What's also? I mean, because I watched it, I saw what happened. I was watching it. What it was, the safety. No, the safety was.
I was watching it too. You always act like because you watched it somewhere different. Like, that makes a difference.
No, because I was watching. Ray, I saw it. Ray, I saw it. I saw.
Because you was there. That makes a difference.
I was there. I saw it. Yes, it does make a difference. I saw where the safety was at. It was over top. He was
The
late on the
safety
cover up.
misplayed the ball. That's all.
That's what it was. That's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't a bad play. The safety misplayed the ball. Exactly. They ran the right play. They shaded over. He held him with the pump fake. So what happened was he held him with the pump fake.
Pump fake, right.
This is what happened. He held him with the pump fake so the safety hesitated. It wasn't one-on-one for real. The safety was there to help.
He was on a terrible angle.
The white flag?
I wasn't trying to tell you.
I can't. I'm not gonna do it tonight because we need predictions. Who's gonna win? I already know who you picking because I can see the swag is back. At the one you called into the post game. Mo, did you see that?
I know you're gonna move on, but also the corner. If you look at the corner was turned in, back was turned. Kerry ran past.
I'm surrounded by Commanders fans. It's okay. I'm not even
Commanders fan. Mo and Giants fan, he kept it a buck. Mo and Giants fan, he kept it a buck. I'm not even.
No, it's easy to join in with Mo today because he agrees with you, of course. But
I'm telling you the truth. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not hate. I'm negative on my squad. I'm negative on my squad.
Let the man.
No. Every time we talk about something, okay, so I saw it because I was.
It's the truth, though.
What does that mean?
Right, it's the truth. I did see it. I'm not lying. Right,
okay.
If you told me, if you told me you was at the game. And I was like, yo, dude was wide open. And you were like, nah, well, he really wasn't because dude was like right there. You just couldn't see it on TV. I'm going to take your word for it. I'm not, okay. I'm just saying, I'm going to take your word for it. That's all I'm saying.
He definitely.
Who you got this week, Wole?
Oh, man. This is a tough one, Ray, since you already know I'm going to pick. You know I'm picking the Commanders. You already know.
Hey, give us the score, man.
Oh, the score? Oh, it's going high scoring. I think it's going to be, not that high scoring. I'm gonna go third. Well, it's gonna be 31. I'm gonna say 31-24.
Commanders.
Yeah, Commanders.
All right, Commanders.
31-24. 30 plus points.
So Detroit. So for betting to win, right?
Yeah.
Detroit doesn't cover the spread. Is what you're saying because they're gonna lose.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
Prince, tell us who you got.
Picking Washington. Picking Washington. As much as it pains me as a Giants, supporter, I'm picking Washington 27-26. I actually do think Trevor Lawrence is better than Jared Goff. I might be in wrong.
See, look, I like Trevor. I like Trevor Lawrence.
I think Jared Goff he's a jumping off dude. His average last week was like 5 yards per attempt.
Oh, that's not a bad thing.
He doesn't push the ball up the field enough.
Yeah.
Well, wait till Jameson Williams enters the picture. He just doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to down the field. That's what that is.
That's a fact. Jameson is a burner. By then, Bryce Young will be. They'll have Bryce Young at quarterback.
By then,
Bryce Young.
Glenn, who you got, Glenn?
I got Washington 27-24. And I just wanted to add this in. We talked about Carson Wentz in the Ringer poll last week. He did finish as the top 5 quarterback this week. Just throwing that in there.
Hey, I'm saying, Gino also had a great game too.
Hey, I told you Gino was going to have a good game. I said that. I rooted for Gino. Who didn't root for? Hey, I didn't root for Gino. Yeah, you know I did.
Man, that was the basis of your argument last week.
Yeah, exactly. And I rooted for him. Carson still had a better game.
No, you always root for Gino though. You always root for Gino. I'm just saying that was the basis of your argument. Come on, Gino Smith was a
But Carson was better than Gino yesterday. He was better than Gino. He was in terms of.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm not messing with you because you're too emotional. Because you text me.
I'm not emotional.
Hold on. No. In general, everybody's a witness here. I can read the text. It looks like Ray was right. That's what he texted right
I know,
before
that's true.
the Terry touchdown.
That's right. That's true. No one's denying that. You can put that out there. I agree with that.
Look, you got momentum right now because y'all got a W. I'll give it to you.
Let me give it to you. Ray, you're right. I text that. I never denied that. I'm not going to go back on it. At that point in time, I was like, Ray, you're right. Carson looks, let's go Carson. I think Ray was right.
Anyway, so everybody picked the Commanders this far.
Yeah.
Mo, did you pick?
I'm going to go after you.
You're gonna pick the Lions. I can tell.
No, I'm not gonna pick the Lions. I'm not sure, man. I'm not gonna pick off my emotions. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a Commanders fan. Even though I was accused of that once, which was interesting.
What was
but
that?
Y'all about to make me anti-Commanders out here.
I can tell.
I mean, you can't have a win. Like you described it as an amazing event on Sunday. That's what he described it as.
Who?
You.
Oh, that day? Oh, yeah, it was amazing because they won.
That's what I'm saying.
Because
A regular home game. Anyway.
Yes, you're darn right because they won.
It's gonna be too much. So I'm gonna take Washington. No, Washington has too many offensive weapons. Even if Scott Turner is a halfway decent play caller, bruh, come on, man. You have to get your playmakers the ball. Terry didn't even do a whole lot last game, and the offense still looked decent. So I feel as though you cannot necessarily get stopped on third down because you have so many weapons. J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson. I'm going to go Washington for that reason. I guess my prediction, I still don't see them being a high-score offense just because they're dumb. So I think I'll say 24-20 just because of dumb mistakes. They tried to give Jacksonville the game. I'll rephrase. Because every time I say something, you noticed that last week when I mentioned the ring, I never said I agree with it, and it turned into a 10-minute debate. Same thing with even though I was wrong about the Terry play. I was wrong about that. I will admit.
It's fun. We have fun. This is who we are.
I was wrong, but I could see that on TV that I was wrong about the Terry play. I had to go back on YouTube to watch it to make sure. Yeah. But if you're a person, you know everything. It's crazy.
I was in person. I didn't know. I do know a lot though. Real talk. Go ahead though.
So, I'm gonna go with Detroit covering the spread. I think the way that Detroit valiantly fought Philly last week, and I think Philly has a better defense than what Washington presents on the field, and it took Philly that far. I think that if they can replicate some of that success, then I think that Jared Goff, because we know one thing about Jared Goff, he's not going to put the ball in harm's way, right? Whether for better or worse, he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. And if Washington doesn't have that many more opportunities, I can see Carson being Carson, right? And it turning out the other way, because I think that Jacksonville blew that. I think Jacksonville had a great chance to win that game, but then again, first-year head coach, second-year quarterback who really didn't have a great first year because of Urban Meyer. We're talking about a run-of-the-mill defense because they bludgeoned it in the offseason and got a bunch of young guys in there. That's why we had the miscue on the deep ball to Terry McLaurin, that whether we was there or not, somebody didn't get there and somebody's back was turned to somebody, right? So, and as sorry as Okudah is, I don't think his back would be turned to the guy that he's supposed to.
It's that bad. Okudah's that bad.
Okudah's been hurt. He's been hurt.
Achilles, and he hasn't been the same dude. Yeah, he hasn't been good.
The question
is,
he
had to fight for a job. He's the first pick. Like it was the first top.
But when there's a change of regime, you're gonna have that. You're gonna have that when there's a change of regime. He was not drafted.
Not for you, like usually
it's his third year. It's the third year.
It's
the third year. He's missed about 24 games. And when he missed like 20, he's missed like 20 games in his career in 2 years.
I would hate for him to be on the wrong person that game. I like Okudah, but
he got benched last year too. Let's not forget he got benched last year as well. Different coach, but he got
exactly. This was the new coaching staff for him last year, right? And they didn't draft him, so the leash is not as long. Yada yada. I just don't see, if Washington makes the mistakes they made or some of the mistakes they made last week, I don't see them overcoming it this week because I don't think Detroit will be as dumb as Jacksonville was.
Didn't Whistling have pick six? Did he throw a pick six?
Who?
Jared Goff? He had pick six in that game.
Yeah, James Bradbury scored, yeah.
That Bama coach, he turns the ball over too. Jared Goff would be turning the ball over.
But people thought Carson turned the ball over, and he only had 7 interceptions.
No. I know. It's wild. It's wild.
What I'm saying is, like, he's not careless with the ball. He's not careless
he
with the
just
ball.
has them moments when he's just dumb as hell.
Yeah, everybody has moments in a 17-game season. You're gonna have
Nah,
moments.
he got them little. Them moments be different though. Them moments hit different.
Carson?
Yeah, the
His
moments
come
hit
at the
different.
worst time.
Yeah, they hit different. Them moments hit different.
Carson's come at the worst moment, right?
Yeah.
Because Carson couldn't beat this team last year with a better team last year. Carson couldn't beat that Jacksonville team last year with a better defense.
But definitely a better defense. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So I just think that, Carson overcame last week. If he plays the same way going into the end of the fourth quarter, I don't think they can overcome again, because on top of Carson, Sunshine also made one of the poorest throws I've seen in a long time. That Forrest intercepted, right?
Yes,
but that's what happens when you're a bad team. You find ways to lose the game.
Yeah.
Right? You find ways to lose the game. So it's going to be upon Carson to show that he can play better than last week. Because I know that people think he played really well. I don't think he played that great. I think the four touchdowns the four touchdowns don't tell the whole story.
He played good. I don't think he played good.
He played fair.
He played good. Like, you look at the quarterback play throughout this week in the NFL, he played good.
Yeah, because
I'm not gonna
let's keep it a buck. He only played one. Well, he played like one real preseason game. Right?
Yeah. No, I'll give him actually two. Like, he probably played more preseason than most of these quarterbacks did this year.
That first game of the season can go any kind of way for the quarterback position, especially a new quarterback, new weapons, new all that. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at the quarterback play of this, other than like Pat Mahomes and Herbert and Lamar,
right?
I mean, really,
right? That's true.
Not that many.
Well, it should make for some exciting football on Saturday. It's a dome, right? It's a dome, so there's no weather conditions, so it should be able for everybody to air it out. And that's what both teams do well, is air the ball. Well, both teams are supposed to air the ball out.
Supposed to
air the ball out well. So the conditions are gonna be there for it to be a high scoring game. We'll see if it can take place.
The total's at 49.5.
49.5?
49.5. I'm taking the over on that.
I'll take the over.
I'll take the over on that. Mo, you said something a few minutes ago was the best statement you ever made. Bad teams find ways to lose. This Detroit Lion team is a bad team. So if you have two bad teams playing each other, what happens?
That's true.
I mean, you got hard.
That's true.
Not my Hard Knocks Detroit Lions. They tough, man. I don't know what y'all talking. That coach is like my type of coach. Like, I like dudes who talk trash and like have folks to like be like, hey, we about to get this.
Got them amped up, right?
I like coaches like that, man.
Yeah, all bad teams aren't created equally either. Like, the Lions are bad trending up.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're trending up.
Well, Washington's like bad, but they're not trending down or up. I don't think
they're like in the middle right now. They just nothing that I don't think.
That's stagnant, man. Yeah. I said it 2 years ago. The worst thing that happened to that team was, but I ain't going to repeat it today. Where can we find you on social media, Prince? Check out your work.
PG Prince J at all platforms, Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me mostly, especially.
Can you repeat that again? You said PG Prince J?
Yeah, PG like Prince George's County. PG Prince J.
There it is.
Dope, man. Hey, man, appreciate you being on, man.
Yes, sir.
Definitely
Thank you, fellas, for having me.
Thank you. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Errrything. Also, tweet us at ABG_Errrything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_Errrything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Errrything Facebook page. Don't forget to subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go Errrything YouTube channel. Hey, this has been dope. Hey, appreciate the homie Prince for being on the show with us. You've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Errrything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. You dig? Deuces. Hey, Mega, lead us out, big homie.